When we think of Winston Churchill, we think of the V sign, we think of the cigar, the bowler hat, and the speeches that mobilized the English language and sent it into battle. We see him as the symbol of unshakable strength. But if you strip away the propaganda and read his private letters, you find a man who was frequently paralyzed by a despair so deep he couldn't get out of bed. He called it his black dog. It was a shadow that followed him from his lonely childhood to his final days. He once told his doctor, "I don't like standing near the edge of a platform when an express train is passing through. I like to stand right back and, if possible, get a pillar between me and the train. I don't like to look down the side of a ship. A second's action would end everything." This is not the talk of a stoic hero. It is the talk of a man constantly fighting the urge to self-destruct. Yet, in 1940, when the rest of Europe collapsed and the fate of Western civilization hung by a thread, this depressed, alcoholic, elderly man was the only one left standing. This presents a profound psychological paradox. Is it possible that Churchill didn't save the world despite his depression, but because of it? To understand this, we must look at a concept in psychology called Depressive Realism. The standard human brain is wired for optimism. We have a positivity bias that acts as a shield, filtering out terrifying information so we can function. This is healthy for daily life, but it is fatal in the face of a monster. In the 1930s, leaders like Neville Chamberlain looked at Hitler and saw what they wanted to see: a rational man who could be reasoned with. They projected their own sanity onto a psychopath. They were blinded by their own mental health. Churchill, however, had no such shield. He had lived with monsters in his own mind for decades. He understood darkness because he inhabited it. When he looked at Hitler, he didn't see a diplomat. He saw a killer. He saw the black dog on a global scale. Because he was not addicted to hope, he was able to accept the horrific truth that war was inevitable long before anyone else. The motivationairy lesson here is that sometimes your pain gives you X-ray vision. The happy man assumes the world is safe. The man who has battled darkness knows it is not. Churchill's pessimism was the immune system of the free world. Before he became Prime Minister, Churchill spent a decade in political exile known as his wilderness years. He was mocked, ignored, and isolated. He spent his days at his country home, Chartwell, building brick walls with his own hands just to keep his mind occupied and the black dog at bay. Psychologically, this decade of rejection was his training ground. Most politicians derive their self-worth from external validation, from applause, votes, and popularity. If you take that away, they crumble. But Churchill had already learned to survive without the approval of the crowd. He had learned to function while feeling worthless. So when 1940 arrived and he stood alone against the Nazi war machine, the isolation didn't break him. He was used to being the only voice in the room. He had calloused his mind against the fear of being wrong. This teaches us that the periods of your life where you feel most useless, your own wilderness years, are often the periods where your character is being forged. The brick wall you build today to keep your sanity might be the foundation of the fortress you need tomorrow. When he finally took power, he didn't offer the British people false hope. He didn't say, "It will be over by Christmas." He said, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat." This was a radical psychological strategy. By validating the people's fear, he eliminated it. When a leader pretends everything is fine while the bombs are falling, the people panic because they feel gaslit. When a leader says, "This is going to be hell, but we will walk through it," the people calm down. Churchill mobilized the English language to externalize the battle. He turned the fight against Hitler into a fight against the same despair he felt internally. His famous speech, "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall never surrender," was not just a military command. It was a mantra of defiance against the hopelessness that threatened to swallow them all. He projected his internal survival mechanism onto an entire nation. He taught them that the only way to beat the black dog, or the Nazi wolf, is to refuse to stop moving. If you are going through hell, keep going. Churchill lived to be 90 years old. He never cured his depression. He just outlasted it, day by day, crisis by crisis. He serves as a powerful corrective to the modern idea that mental health means being happy all the time. Churchill was not happy. He was often miserable. But he was useful. He proves that you do not need to be fixed to be great. You do not need to wait until you are perfectly sane, or perfectly calm, or perfectly happy to do your duty. You can carry the black dog on your back and still march up the mountain. In fact, the weight might just be the thing that keeps you grounded when the winds of history try to blow you away.